Zowie's kind of regarded as the king of shapes, so when they announced the U2, I was amped. But the shape is not really what I thought it would be, even as an FK2 ZA 13 enjoyer, and EC for that matter. Zowie markets this as aimed towards games with more verticality than Counter-Strike and Valorant, things like Apex. So they do this through sports science, I guess, bringing your fingers closer together by having these scallops on the side of the mouse. Personally, I don't think this is as unique as they sell it to be. This basically just feels like an ergo mouse on the left side here. Most ergo mice have a deep scallop like this, and then buttons right above. Then they carry that design over to the other side, and it just feels kind of awkward. There's not really a like a traditional ledge for your ring finger, and this hip kind of bulges out differently than like most other hourglass shaped mice. So I mean, it's still usable, but for me to get my fingers in the right spot on the right side, it means that my thumb has to come farther forward, and now I'm outside of that thumb groove, and it just feels very awkward. The other thing is, if you do play with this shape, okay, you end up having a very relaxed grip in order to fit your thumb in that groove. It does feel comfortable, and my thumb can easily pivot up to these side buttons, which are very nicely implemented. But by having extended fingers, that also means I don't really have the ability to mouse upward easily with micro adjustments. I could claw more like this, but the buttons are so darn stiff up here, and they don't have good feedback. So yeah, bottom line, I don't think it's as unique of a shape as they market it to be, and it's honestly just not for me. It feels, a lot of Zowie shapes feel so safe, like the FK and ZA, for example. It's a lot like the GPX. You can grip far forward, far back. You can have separated ring and pinky. You can have them together. Low thumb angle, high thumb angle. This really wants you to be gripping in a like relaxed fingertip or relaxed claw. The other bits of the mouse, let's see, I mentioned the side buttons are very good. Those are probably the best part. The main buttons, at least on my copy, just don't have a lot of feedback. They don't have that traditional Zowie pop to them. You still feel like you're bending plastic a little bit. They feel good if you like grip really far forward, but again, I don't really think you're gonna do that with this mouse. Scroll wheel, like people say, it's a Zowie scroll wheel. It has noticeable detents, but there's a rattliness to it that I'm just not a fan of. Their encoder, their wheel click designs, usually they use like a floating carriage rather than having the wheel on an axle, and that's why most mice, the axle, if you click it towards the right, it's easy and spammable, but going towards the left, it's really difficult to click it. Zowie, I guess, you can click it either way, and that's fine, but this adds weight, it adds complexity, it adds that terrible sounding detent. And honestly, the detents aren't as good as, like, honestly, the TTC Silver that's in this feels just as good, just as notchy, so an Alps would be even more notchy. The charging base and the second dongle are nice for, like, work and home. The skates are paper thin, as other people say. They do glide nicely. This is a Pulsar Paraspeed. So they actually are quite fast on this for black skates, and consistent and smooth feeling, but looking at how they're kind of wearing around the rim first, so that makes me think there's a little bit of warping to them. And yeah, the weight's good. Zowie finally got that right at around 60 grams. That's about right for a mouse this size. There's maybe some modding potential, but I think they use a 300 milliamp hour battery, so not a ton there. Anyway, yeah, so I'm not super impressed. I'm gonna be selling this, but yeah, bottom line is the shape, it's not as safe as I thought, and not as unique as I thought either. Basically just a mirrored ergo. Alright, hope this helps. Feel free to leave comments with questions below.